He told me to put it on. The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please take a second, turn off all pagers and electronic equipment, and we will stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom, would you call the roll, please? Mr. Becker. Here. Blumberg.
Here.
Ms. Taube.
Here.
First item, Mrs. Taube, here for bicycle.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
That's on the agenda. Thank you.
We have on the agenda at the next meeting a resolution to approve moving forward with Ventnor on a bike and pedestrian plan with the New Jersey Department of Transportation. They'll prepare it for us at no cost to the city, and this opportunity came up. Is this better, everybody? Okay, good. All right, so this opportunity came up at a joint Green Team meeting that we had with Ventnor, which Jim Rotella attended and suggested to us. I'm prepared to vote if it's okay with the mayor and Commissioner Blumberg, but if they want to wait, I'm okay with that too. I do have a copy of the resolution so you can review it. There's one for you, Mayor, and one for Commissioner Blumberg. Once again, there's no cost to the city, and the report will be beneficial as we move forward from a 4-lane highway on Atlantic Avenue to a 2-way highway with a center turn lane and enhanced bike path. This information will also be helpful as we gear up and prepare for our master plan in 2 years. So, I'm willing if you are, but if you want to wait, I understand too.
I'm good, Maury.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll do department reports. Frank, do you want to start tonight, please?
This past Saturday, we had our paper shredding event. We shredded over a ton of paper, and our next one will be in April 25th, 2015. We also, at the request of Margate Sustainable, placed new trash cans every few blocks at the street ends in Margate for people that are down there on the beach walking or whatever they're doing. They have some place to throw their trash. The Atlantic City Marathon is this weekend, and we're helping them out a little bit. They will be down at Stephen Cookie's, and we are going to lend them our small stage. This coming week, there is a storm out in the Atlantic. It's supposed to go by us, but it's coming by on a new moon. So we expect, extremely high tides. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, which way it goes. And we're plenty busy and moving along. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Frank. Dan?
Yeah, the fire department, everything's going great. We did have a very successful fire prevention week. I just want to remind all of our residents to check your smoke detectors monthly, and if you need any assistance changing your batteries, or if you need a smoke detector, please call the fire department. We'd be happy to come out and help you install them. I want to thank the Current. They did a great job in talking about Fire Prevention Week, and the cover photo last week was pretty nice. But again, if you need any assistance with anything fire department related or fire safety, please contact the fire department. That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Lisa?
Good afternoon. The only thing I wanted to mention is on the agenda for 5 o'clock is the second reading of that bond ordinance for our City Hall project. And I'd just like to remind you that the ordinance is for $900,000. We have previously authorized $1,450,000 for the City Hall project. However, after it's gone back and forth under the FEMA review, and all the codes and standards were added in. The last report that we had received, they were estimating, the cost to be about 2.3 or 2.5 million. Yesterday, I did attend a training session for NJEM Grants, which is the website where I have to file quarterly reports and project status for all the disasters. And in speaking with the state representatives, I asked if they had an update to report as to the final approval or the final amount that would be obligated for the project. And apparently, it has to go through, I believe, 10 different areas before it's finalized. I think it's in the 8th, whichever that one is. The next one is the Department for Historical Preservation. And the woman in charge of that I was speaking with, so I'm waiting for her to look into it for me. But we're probably like at least 3 to 4 weeks out before we get a final response. Because after she does it, then it goes to one final level. So as soon as I hear any update, I will let you know. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. Chief Wilson?
We're geared up for the Atlantic City Marathon this Sunday, so I advise residents there'll be a little bit of an inconvenience for traffic detours and things of that nature for about 4 hours Sunday morning, beginning at about 9 o'clock. It hasn't been a problem, but just so everybody's aware. Other than that, everything else is good.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Deeney?
I want to give an update on the Army Corps DEP proposed dunes project. I've been reporting every meeting since September 2nd. I will make this, what I'm saying tonight, I will make this available and make a copy on the table like I've done the last 3 meetings. What I'm reading tonight is the latest version, but it's attached to all 3 other versions, so it'll be a complete record of the 4 reports that I've made. This is dated today, and it reads as follows. Consistent with the plan as outlined over the previous 6 weeks, we have sought and received the support of state and county officials in order to ask the DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers to consider reasonable alternatives to the planned dunes on Margate beaches, while not jeopardizing federal funding for the state or other Absecon Island communities. We thank Senator Whalen, Assemblyman Brown and Mazzio, and Atlantic County Executive Levinson for assisting us in approaching the DEP and the Army Corps. As we prepared to engage with the Army Corps and the DEP, we became aware of the filing by the DEP of an administrative order, which coincidentally we just saw for the first time this minute, but we became aware of this 2 weeks ago. As we prepared to engage with the Army Corps and DEP, we became aware of the filing by the DEP of an administrative order which was filed in the Atlantic County Clerk's Office, which purported to effectuate a taking of city-owned beach property for the Dunes project. The words in this order that I just read 5 minutes ago say that they have the taking. That's incorrect. So listen to what I'm saying. As we prepared to engage with the Army Corps and the DEP, we became aware of the filing by the DEP of an administrative order which purported to effectuate a taking of city-owned beach property for the Dunes project. It is our position, including our attorneys, that these orders have no legal effect whatsoever because the DEP did not follow the statutory process to take our land. Through the skill of our counsel, we have secured from the DEP an agreement that's on our agenda tonight that if litigation ever occurs over the issue of taking any of our land, the city has retained all of its substantive and procedural rights to object to the taking and has not consented to any legal action by the DEP. Our next step will be to engage, along with our elected representatives, with the DEP and the Army Corps in order to discuss reasonable alternatives to the Dunes project as designed, which will protect our citizens while not jeopardizing any federal funding. We will continue to make bi-weekly reports on our progress. I know that's a lot to take in one reading. I'm going to leave it for people to read, but I assure you that this administrative order, which we didn't receive until today, but we knew about 2 weeks ago because we found out about it as soon as it was filed, and it was filed on behalf of the state to all property owners in Margate, including the city, that own property on the beach. We are protected by this agreement that will be signed, authorized to be signed tonight. It tolls the time, and whatever they filed on 2 weeks ago is immaterial. And if you read this administrative agreement that I just read 2 minutes ago, it goes on to say that they're going to go through all of the statutory provisions that they're required to go through, which they have to go through, which means, as I reported previously, what they have to go through is they have to, if we don't agree voluntarily or any of the property owners don't agree voluntarily, they have to do an appraisal. They have to invite us to go to that. When they do the appraisal, they have to give us the appraisal report, and they have to negotiate for a minimum of, I believe, 14 days in good faith. And it says that in the administrative order, but the first paragraph says that they've effectuated the taking. They haven't effectuated the taking. They filed something with the clerk's office that said that they're going to go through this process. So try to make that as clear as I can. I've spoken to the commissioners. They're well aware of everything I've just said. We've worked with our special counsel and, of course, our city solicitor. So we're in good shape. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we're in good shape. We're as good shape today as we were last meeting and the meeting before. There's nothing that's happened that's any different. It's taken 2 weeks' worth of work. Not by me, but by others. Questions?
I have none. Marty? Brenda?
No.
Okay. Anything else, Rich? That's it. Mr. Abbott?
Just to follow up on that, Mayor, we are going to discuss, and hopefully you'll vote on a resolution for a tolling and standstill agreement. I see it's not on our regular agenda, but I'm going to ask that it be supplemented.
It's supposed to be on that.
Supposed to be on it. And the resolution will authorize the city of Margate through the governing body, and you, Mayor and Commissioners, let me read a portion of it. Because they have filed these taking actions, our attorney, Andrews, has said that we could enter into a tolling and standstill agreement so as to maintain the status quo and not be compelled at this time to file a court action. We are and have been in ongoing negotiations and discussions with the state and the Army Corps to try to modify or change the sand dune proposal. And so as a result of that, as we knew, the state's going to move forward with their Absecon Island Shore Protection Program. They have filed this notice of taking. So what Andrews has negotiated with the state, and the state has agreed to enter into an agreement which they had captioned a tolling and standstill agreement. What this does is it freezes the time. In other words, if we don't file it for an injunction immediately, if we don't institute suit against the state of New Jersey right now, we don't lose the legal ability to do that because the state has agreed to waive that time limitation. So I'm going to ask you to authorize that resolution at the regular 5 o'clock meeting. And I strongly advise you to do it. Moving on to some other topics, unless you want to talk to me about that. Do you have any questions at
I'm
this
good
point?
with it, Scott.
You're good with it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
You
you
realize
for your-
that today, City Hall did receive the official notice of taking. We were aware of it through our attorney, but we didn't have the actual documents, which we've time-stamped as October 16th. This is a partial taking. They're not trying to take the entire beach. This is a part of taking for their sand dune and the beach replenishment program that the state and the federal government have proposed. So that's where we are, and this is another step in a long process. Do you have any questions you want to ask me about that? I'd be happy to answer.
I have a comment which I didn't make before because I'm not 100% sure because I'm not an attorney. But as I read the document that I handed out tonight to you, which is the actual agreement that we just negotiated, I know it protects us. It's my understanding in that agreement that all of the other parties in Margate that are getting this administrative order today, just like we are, will also be protected with that tolling. I'm not positive. You can.
I don't know.
The agreement is there, but I'm making that statement without being positive. But for those who might have a question that are hearing this tonight, that might otherwise be affected, other property owners whose taking is potentially there, and I think affected by the same filing.
It is.
They can get a copy from the clerk's office, if the commission passes this tonight, the actual agreement, and they can take it to their attorneys and interpret it the way they wish. I just want to make them aware of that through this public disclosure.
That's it. That's all I have on that one.
Thank you. Tom?
No, everything's good.
Thank you. Roger?
Get down here so fast. Jim Galantino's at a seminar today. He told me to report to you that as of today, we have 60 demolitions in Margate this year. That follows 56 last year, and we still have a couple of months left, and that he's extremely busy. This week, we approved 3 new houses, 3 house raisings, and the building continues quite vigorously. That's it.
What about your report?
It was a combo.
Maureen?
Everything's fine, thanks.
You sent it Friday or Saturday evening.
Fred?
I have nothing new to report. I just would like to say that since we're in the middle of October, that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please get checked. And also men, you can get it too. It's a topic that's very close to my heart. So just be diligent. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Maury?
Yes, I have 2 things. First is that if anyone is meeting with Ventnor, and this is kind of personal, sometimes I can't ride my bike to work and I have to drive the truck. And I drive the truck on Atlantic Avenue, and it seems that I stop at every other block for a red light. So if anybody here happens to be meeting with anyone in Ventnor, maybe we could ask them to take a look at their traffic signals. I'm not asking them to flash them, but maybe they could at least try and time them a little better. Certainly, I think it would be good for the environment. My second thing is that I've been asked by a couple of the members of the community, as well as Mr. Sewell, to review our pay-to-play and nepotism ordinances, policies, and procedures. And so in that regard, I've asked Rich to take on that task in conjunction with Mr. Hiltner to go through those policies to see if there's anything that we need to be doing better, or if, in their opinion, they're okay. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Brenda?
Yeah, I just have a couple things, too. Our Sustainable Margate team has recently been advised that they've earned a bronze level certification, which is really exciting. And this group will be honored and recognized for the achievement at the Sustainable Jersey Luncheon during the New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference on November 18th. And just on a side note, sustainability is not just about the environment and being green. It's about thriving communities, business, and general quality of life issues. For example, the Safe Routes to School program and the Walking Wednesdays initiative, which is in the current today, the Green Team started, or Sustainable Margate started, and that encourages children to walk and bike to and from school. I'm pretty sure everybody up here at the table receives our minutes so that everybody here can be kept in the loop. And you're always welcome to attend meetings. The next one will be Monday, November 10th at 9:30, and it'll be in the conference room. I know Lisa and Ed Wahlberg and Chief Wolfson and Rich have attended in the past, but you're all welcome. Also, as a result of the Stormwater Management Workshop, which Sustainable Margate hosted, we learned that there's free resilience training for municipalities through the Jacques Cousteau Group. And we had our first meeting last week, and another one scheduled for November 5th. And Jim and Roger were there, and Rich and Chief Wolfson, and I think we really need Ed Wahlberg to be there at the next meeting, so I'll reach out to him. So that's good. It's free assistance to us, and it'll be useful for our master plan in 2 years. That's all I have.
Thank you, Brenda. Just a short update on Dunes issue. I spoke this afternoon, about 2 hours ago, to Bill Dixon, who is one of the supervising people at DEP. And I asked him, because of some of the confusion that I'm reading about what Margate's cost would be. He is on vacation. I was lucky that he did call me back. We did talk, and he has told me that when he gets back to work on Monday, he will email me a list so we have it in writing. Bottom line is that he has told me the initial construction is of no cost to Margate. Fixing the Margate Pier is of no cost to Margate. Drainage will be covered by the government, no cost to Margate. Access to the beaches, including handicap access, no cost at all to Margate. Now, that's a phone conversation. We talked about replenishment, and his opinion is that Margate, and this is strictly his opinion, may never need replenishment, and he went into that we're on the southern end of the island, and so on and so forth. He said Atlantic City will always need replenishment. I said, well, what about Ventnor? Ventnor's right next to us. He said, Ventnor possibly, but when the sand keeps moving south, he's not sure if we'll ever need replenishment. And he did say that, Mike, out of all the replenishments in Ventnor, and I don't know what that number is, and it really doesn't matter, all but one were paid for 100% by the government. So I don't know whether it's good news or bad news. I guess it's all according to how you feel. It is some definite news, and if he lives up to his word, I have no reason to believe he will not. We will have that in some sort of an email form on Monday. With that having been said, we will open to public comment, 3 minutes on anything that's been discussed.
Mike, I just need to comment. And I wasn't prepared to comment, and it's certainly not a debate, and I think we need to consider the source when you're talking to Mr. Dixon. I truly believe that, what he says is what he believes. I don't guess that he would have any reason to misstate or tell us anything but what he believes to be fact-based data. But I just got some information today from Ocean City, and I haven't had a chance to digest it, but I don't understand why they would have to replenish and have replenished almost every 3 years to the tune out of their budget of over $1 million. So it's hard for me to understand why Mr. Dixon could say he doesn't think we'll have to replenish
They're south of us, and they're replenishing, every 2 to 3 years. So all I can say is I think we need to be careful about, considering the source and who's selling what to whom. And for me, it's a matter of, and always has been, a matter of buyer beware. Don't tell me, please don't tell me that it's going to be free. And I've heard that from day one, and the reality is that this project is never going to be free. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Public comment.
Steve Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. If I may, Mr. Blumberg, as a kayaker, I can tell you, I teach kayaking, ocean kayaking, and I can tell you that the difference in going through a channel, like the Great Egg Harbor Channel, if you were on the bay side going out into the ocean, going past Longport is a lot easier paddle than going out close to Ocean City. Extremely difficult and quite dangerous for a paddler. The reason is the currents in the Atlantic Ocean push sand that way, push waves. The waves go in that direction. So as you come around Longport, it's a much easier paddle than it would be to go around the Ocean City side. I have a feeling that's why the gentleman is suggesting that Margate at the south end of a Long Island might not have to have replenishment, whereas Ocean City at the north end of their island might require more replenishment than we would. I have a feeling that's what he's referring to. My question would be to Mr. Deeney and to Council Abbott, if the state is actually taking property, does that mean that going forward, if Margate did need replenishment, that it would be the state's responsibility, since they are literally taking the property? Isn't that their ownership and then their responsibility?
In my opinion, no.
Pardon me?
In my opinion, no.
My opinion, no as well.
You have to remember, the state has agreed that the city of Margate does not have to sign the Absecon Island Beach Replenishment Program. That was a initially 50-year period. It's down to like 40 or 38 years now. So we are not contractually obligated to do that. The taking is a partial taking. It is a taking of an easement so that they can pump the sand in and build their sand dunes and build the crossovers or the walkovers and deal with whatever they're going to do with their drainage. Is the city of Margate obligated in the future to participate? No, they are not obligated. Will they need to? Well, that's one of the issues that's being debated, if there's erosion or whatever. But Margate has never, to my knowledge, had beach replenishment done, ever. So will they need it in the future after they pump more sand in? I don't know. All I can tell you is, city is not obligated. States agreed we do not have to sign that contract. Now, could they take us to court again, or could they force us? Who knows? You could try to predict that down the line. I don't know. They could possibly force the city again, or try to assess the city in some way, monies to replenish sand or sand dunes. Anything is possible.
By the same token, if they are taking property from Margate and Margate residents, and they decided sometime in the future that they didn't want to repair after a storm, would Margate have the right to make those repairs if it chose to? Or because it's their property, we wouldn't be allowed to?
Again, it's not their property. They are taking an easement to utilize the property to pump sand in and sand dunes.
I see. Okay.
So would they object to the city of Margate pumping sand in? I strongly doubt that. Would they object to the city of Margate repairing its beaches so that people have access to the water and the beach? that would be against all public purpose, and I would think a court would favor the city of Margate in that situation. But that's highly unlikely the DEP would do that, in my opinion.
So in the taking, it doesn't become the state's property, I guess
No, it
that's
is
the
a
point.
partial taking.
Gotcha.
Got it. Do you?
Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
Thank you, Steve.
No.
Yeah, Joe Tosi, 7 South Granville. It's been a while. I'm here with this here. I see this bicycle and pedestrian safety. I'm all for that, but I have an issue. I guess I want to address it to the chief. Gladstone Avenue, which isn't a wide street, and I think the problem is because it isn't a wide street. I use that street maybe 5 and 6 times a day. And coming out, you have to overextend the corner because you have 3 cars in front of the bank. You have 3 cars on your left, and you can't see cars coming from your left, so you have to overextend. Now, as soon as you do that, you have the people trying to cross over to the bank, they're all giving you dirty looks. That's the first thing. And finally, when you're able to go and turn right, you step on the gas, and out of nowhere, you have a kid on a bicycle riding on the wrong side of the street or someone jogging. A few times I had to slam on my brakes not to do that. What I'm recommending is, can't we have that one light just regular? So when we come down, we have to stop for the red and go on the green because it's an accident waiting to happen. So that's what I'm suggesting. So I'm just going to leave it that way.
Chief, do you want to respond, or?
Something to keep in mind is the bicyclists must abide by the rules of the road, vehicular traffic. So they actually have the right-of-way in that situation.
I'm not saying they don't have the right of way.
The drivers, it's a matter of technicality, and I can have the guy start enforcing. I will tell you, I am not in favor of placing that one light on. If all the lights are on flash, they need to stay on flash, that one light, because that situation could be equated to every intersection with a light. Because it is controlled, we don't have a problem in the summer. It's only when it's on flash. I will have it checked and monitor, see what goes on, Joe. The joggers are not supposed to be in the bike lane. You'd need a task force of 100 police officers to monitor that.
Your bicycle people and your joggers, they don't follow the rules, first of all.
I agree with you, and that's the situation. So I will get the officer out there and monitor it.
You see, if you go down to Exeter Avenue, where the street is really wide and you got the bank, you can see for miles either way. Gladstone Avenue, you cannot do that. And all I'm trying to say is somebody's going to get hit and hurt. And I'm just saying that here, so I don't see the city get sued because somebody hit somebody on a bicycle, was going the wrong way, and it wasn't.
And I appreciate your concern there, but we have in the years that we've done that, we have no data to indicate that there's a problem there. But like I said, you have my word. I will have it checked out and monitored and report back to you, let you know what's going on.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And you'll get back to Mr. Tosi and to the committee?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Tosi. Anybody else?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. If it's any consolation to Commissioner Blumberg, last Thursday, I chastised Mayor Bagnell and Commissioner Sarno for that ridiculous green, red, yellow, non-synchronized situation on Atlantic Avenue. And if you pull the tape, he'll see that the solicitor's right-hand man, former Mayor Kreischer, didn't concur with my opinion, so you'll see a different point of view. He took issue with my points of getting it synchronized. But more importantly, getting back to your suggestion that we institute an ordinance, which the mayor has steadfastly refused to introduce, and that is an essential ordinance to prevent any and all nepotism and patronage, as well as any and all pay-to-play, including, Mr. Deeney, services in kind. We have spent over $250,000 thus far, and the meter is going at warp speed. We put this lawyer's kids through college a couple times already, and there's no need for it if we had an appropriate ordinance on the books. This ordinance is long overdue. The mayor has misused and abused his authority time and time again to benefit him and his family, and it must stop. I don't care how it stopped, but it must stop. One small step is to introduce this ordinance. Let's get it on the books. There be no ambiguity what constitutes pay to play. Let it be clear that it includes services in kind. It should stop, and stop for good. And as far as transforming Atlantic Avenue, going from a 4-lane thoroughfare, a main drag, to making it the meter-maid operation that they have in Longport, 1 lane each way, all you're going to do is create gridlock in a situation that is already gridlock in the summertime. It's injudicious to make it 1 lane each way, because if you have some little old lady or some lost little old man or some other addled old fool, going 25 miles an hour down Atlantic Avenue, it's going to block traffic for miles in either direction. So I strongly urge serious reconsideration. It's the same reason that Pacific Avenue shouldn't be one way, because it would create enormous traffic jams on Atlantic Avenue in Atlantic City. So before we jump into this 1 lane each way, I think it's more important to consider having a thoroughfare where there is an ability to pass vehicles that are going inordinately slow. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow. Mr. Deeney, are you aware of whether any residents got any letters, or Solicitor Abbott, or anybody?
I'm not aware.
You are?
I heard today that one beachfront property got a letter, yes.
And what was their letter? Was their letter asking them to voluntarily give over the easements, or was it taking it?
I would assume it's the same letter that we got. I don't know the answer to that.
The one you got before, didn't it say voluntarily? They were asking the city to voluntarily turn over the properties?
The original one?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so you're saying you got a subsequent letter saying...
Came in today.
Okay. All right. I would like to clarify a couple things. And this comes from people in Washington, that former Army Corps people at very high levels, and some federal attorneys. Any payment that's made with regard to the Dune project is, and I know Solicitor Abbott knows this, is between the NJDEP and the city. That's the state aid agreement. That's the one in Ventnor they didn't sign, but they still had to pay. The state came in 2011 and forced them to pay. I have it on very high authority from people at high levels in there that a state aid agreement will be signed. It's got to be signed, because if they don't sign it, the state is responsible for everything. There's no communication between the Army Corps and the city in regard to what gets paid. That's between the NJDEP and the city. The participation agreement is between the Army Corps of Engineers and the NJDEP. As far as who's doing what, NJDEP is responsible state for getting the easements. They're responsible for letting the Army Corps know when there's easements. The project can't be done without easements. If it has in the past in other places, it's not going to happen this time. And the state can't very well allow Margate to have a project where the state picks up the whole bill, when in every other community it's a 65%, 35% split. There is no way possible, because we have drainage the way we do, and drainage systems are very expensive, that the state is going to pick up the bill for that. It's not going to happen. They can't do it. It has to be a split, 65%, 35%. In Ventnor, things didn't go as they were supposed to. Things happened that weren't supposed to happen. And the Army Corps is aware, and the NJDP is aware, that we're aware that it happened. So you can say all you want, we're not signing it, and we have no obligation, but you're going to be signing one, and the result is the citizens of Margate are going to be responsible for millions, a percentage of millions of dollars. And to tell the people that they're not, based on the Army Corps having a phone conversation with the mayor, the Army Corps is not the entity that makes that determination legally. And Mayor Becker, you continue to have phone conversations with people. There's no record of it. That's not how a mayor does business with the state or the Army Corps. So as far as citizens are concerned, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. It is misleading. No one understands what this referendum is for. They voted in last November to challenge the state. They said no dunes, and it was based on research and real cost figures. Drainage, the same issues when Mayor Rio was mayor. There's articles in the paper about it. I want to see in writing that there's no extension to the fishing pier, because I'm being told by people that that's Army Corps people used to run Army Corps at high levels. That's not possible. The fishing pier will be full of sand. The fishing pier could be $2.5 million to extend. Army Corps is not going to pay that. It's a private pier.
15 seconds.
It's a private pier. So the Corps is not going to pay it, the state's not going to pay it unless it becomes a public pier. That all has to be in writing. How can you, as a commission, you want people to give you say right in your referendum, guidance. How can citizens give guidance? You don't even know the facts. You haven't been told them all. You're hearing one thing, you're hearing another thing. How are citizens supposed to vote? What are they voting on? The fact that you keep telling them, and Commissioner Tobey keeps telling them, it won't cost them anything? That is absolutely not true. And not only is it not true that it won't cost them anything, but it's not a done deal, it's not inevitable, and there's a lot of flaws that have happened, and the state has a weak case. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's a motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Salvi?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Becker? Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes.
We will reconvene 5 o'clock. Thank you.